right, good evening, everyone. I think we're about ready to get started. Yeah, let's do it. So, I'm Matt Gray, Chief of Sustainability for the City of Cleveland. Welcome to our fourth annual Powered by PechaKucha events. Each one of these is focused on one of our Sustainable Cleveland celebration topics. So we've had events on zero waste. I think it's back in 2014. Clean water. Last year was sustainable transportation. And now, vibrant green space. Who doesn't love vibrant green space? If you don't, you should probably leave right now. So first, some thank yous. First, the Music Box for hosting us. Actually, the second time they've hosted us at one of these. Thanks to the Office of Sustainability staff, many of which you'll be introducing speakers tonight. They're around, and especially Kathy Len. She heard it all, us cats tonight, and really helped make this event happen. So special thank you to Kathy. Finally, I wanted to acknowledge you. Thank you for coming tonight. There's a lot to do on a summer night in Cleveland, and for some reason you all choose to watch 200 slides inside. That really shows your dedication to this topic, and it will be fun, I promise. We also have 16 special guests, I think it's 16, from Jóvenes en Acción, which translates to Youth in Action. Where are they? Cool, get them. So they're in Cleveland for 2 weeks on an exchange program focused on environmental entrepreneurship before returning to Mexico. So please, we just gave them a warm welcome, but give them another warm welcome. So they are hosted by the Cleveland Council on World Affairs, a truly great organization whose mission is to inspire engagement in international affairs through education, speaker events, and person-to-person exchange. And I think we hit all three of those boxes tonight, so I'm so glad to have them here. So how many of you are attending your first Sustainable Cleveland event? Cool, we got a handful. Great. So just a brief background. There's a whole lot online. But in 2009, Mayor Jackson founded the Sustainable Cleveland 2019 initiative to collectively build a thriving green city on a blue lake. So tonight, we're really here to talk about that, that green city part of that tagline, which of course affects the blue part of that tagline. So what is vibrant green space? I think there's many definitions. I think if I asked each of you, you'd probably have a different definition, but we define it this way. As an accessible and active public space that benefits all and connects people to place, nature, and one another. So in other words, it's really not just about creating a beautiful space. It's about people, right? And really creating connections and ensuring really everyone has access to that green space. This is a truly important topic for many reasons. It brings neighbors together. Green space, it cleans our water, it cleans the air, improves health, especially those most vulnerable in our city. It tackles climate change. It's fun to play in. It improves property values. We could go on and on and on. This is really why it's an interesting topic to kind of have a theme around tonight. And the 10 speakers, I think, come at this topic from very different perspectives. So I'm just really excited to hear what they have to say. But before we do that, let's first learn about what a PechaKucha is. So next up is Emily Baca from the Cleveland team to explain. She also works for the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, which is a really great partner in all of this work. So Emily.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Baca, and I do serve as the Director of Communications and Marketing for Western Reserve Land Conservancy, another group that really values all of our vibrant green spaces. But this evening, I'm joining you as a member of the creative team for PechaKucha Night Cleveland. Before I go any further, let's all say PechaKucha together. So PechaKucha, PechaKucha. PechaKucha is, it means chit chat in Japanese. And so this is a presentation style, PechaKucha, that means kind of that chit chat. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. And so what you're gonna see tonight are 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide from each presenter that comes up here this evening. I've shared with them, and I'll share with you. Once we hit go, these presentations move. So it's a really dynamic way for our speakers to tell their stories and what they're passionate about. So the PechaKucka Night brand, if you will, it was started in Tokyo by some architects a long time ago. 2008, we started here in Cleveland hosting PechaKucka Nights. And we are now the PechaKucka Night team. We have 900 cities across the world. So there are a number of different presentations. When we have these larger nights, really a good curation of art, food, music, culture, all sorts of issues that get brought up. But our Powered By nights are very specific and very focused. And so that's what you're gonna see tonight with our themes, Year of Vibrant Green Space, Powered by PechaKucka. Be sure to check out the website. There's always a presentation of the day from all of the different cities across the world, which is pretty exciting. And another great event for you to attend. So the PechaKucka Night Cleveland team will be hosting one of our quarterly events at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on Friday, August 25th. We have a really great lineup. Again, very diverse presentations, but those presentations do include some behind the scenes stories about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So it's an event not to miss. It's free, open to the public. We'll be outside. In case of rain, we'll be inside. You can check out, again, our different Facebook pages, websites, or Twitter accounts for more details on that event. So without any further ado, let's get into our Year of Vibrant Green Space, Powered by PechaKucka. I have the honor and pleasure of introducing Judy McKeegan. Judy is currently serving as the historian and archivist for Cleveland Metro Parks. She joined the park system in 2010 while completing her MA in history from Cleveland State University. Judy has the joy and privilege of researching, compiling, and sharing the history of Cleveland Metro Parks, and also the local history of the communities in the Metro Parks District. She was lead author and chief editor of the book, The 100-Year Trail, a Centennial Celebration of Cleveland Metro Parks, which is fabulous and you should read it. And she also serves on the Centennial Celebration Steering Committee. Welcome, Judy.
The story of Cleveland Metro Parks really begins at the turn of the last century. Cleveland was on its way to becoming the 5th largest city in the country. We were a center of industry, shipping, and commerce that created wealth for a few people and employment for many others. This prosperity had a downside as the air and waterways became polluted. Recognizing the need for green spaces to escape these conditions, the city organized a park board in the 1890s. They created city parks with manicured walkways and carriage paths. Instead of one large park in the city center, these parks ringed the edges of the city. Some land was donated by wealthy men like William Gordon and John D. Rockefeller and was on land that once housed their summer estates. Other land was purchased parcel by parcel to provide parks at Garfield, Edgewater, and Brookside, among others. In 1905, Cleveland City Parks engineer William Stinchcomb suggested that as the city continued to expand, an outer ring of parks would be needed. His words resonated with other planners and the business community. The Chamber of Industry on the west side, for instance, had been looking to create parks along the Rocky River. Originally, a county park board was appointed for this new park idea, but they were stymied by several restrictions. So Stinchcomb and several others lobbied in Columbus for legislation that would allow for the creation of metropolitan park districts. They were separate political entities that were not beholden to whims of any one city or county administration. The Cleveland Metropolitan Park District was created on July 23, 1917, and the first board appointed. Stinchcomb continued to volunteer his services as consulting engineer until he became our first director in 1921. And the board began to acquire land along major waterways, including Rocky River, Chagrin River, Tinkers Creek, Big Creek, and Euclid Creek. So what was on this land before it became parkland? Well, much of it was bottom land that was unsuitable for agriculture or industry due to flooding, ravines, and rocky areas in the land. This also made it unsuitable for major industry. And as small family-owned farms became less economically viable, they sold or donated land to the parks. The intention was to avoid the manicured look of 19th century parks, but land management and landscaping was still needed. Much of the new parkland needed to be reforested. 2 nurseries were established for this purpose, this one in Rocky River Reservation. The original park plans included parkways to connect the reservations and provide access into the reservations. Early park roads were unpaved and they were oiled in the summer to keep the dust down. We don't do that anymore. Other early infrastructure included trails, picnic shelters, and bathrooms, which they called comfort stations. Cleveland businessman John F. Johnson offered to donate land in Hinckley Township if the park would dam the east branch of the Rocky River. He planned to build a cottage colony along the resulting lake on his remaining property. So while they loved nature, early park planners retained the 19th century mindset that nature was there to fit man's purposes. Infrastructure work was accelerated in the 1930s by federal programs such as the CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps. We had 2 camps, one in Euclid and one in Brecksville, and these men worked to create new park amenities as well as to shore up the banks of the Euclid Creek against erosion. Among other projects that the Works Progress Administration, the WPA, did in the 1940s and 30s was to turn several abandoned quarries in Berea into Lakes Wallace and Baldwin in 1941. Lake Wallace is still used today for fishing, boating, and swimming, but Baldwin has been allowed to fill in and serves today as a wetland community. Believing that people who had an understanding of the natural world could better appreciate the parks, the board contracted with the Cleveland Museum of Natural History in 1930 and hired naturalist A.B. William. A small trailside museum opened in 1931. Today, over 35 naturalists work at several interpretive centers to continue this mission. Early conservation efforts were fairly simple, mostly reforestation and landscape planting with a focus on human needs. In the 1950s, the new head forester and his crew began to look at the impact of suburban sprawl on plant and animal communities, and eventually a wildlife manager was added to the staff. The ecology movement of the 1970s brought volunteers, such as these Girl Scouts who worked for 3 years at Sunset Pond in North Chagrin to clear the pond of water lilies. Today, scores of volunteers continue to help with the removal of invasive plants, planting trees, and stream and wetland surveys and wildlife research. The Lake Isaac Waterfall Preserve in Big Creek Reservation was the first official wildlife sanctuary. This 1974 project established a migratory corridor between the Rocky River Valley and the lake. It was also the first such project in the parks to receive federal grant funding from the United States Bureau of Outdoor Recreation. Now, this image is a little more philosophical. It serves to remind us that the impact of humans on the natural environment is ever present. These stones are all that remains of a mill on Cedar Point Road that was once a vital structure in the life of the community it served. Even our permanent buildings are ephemeral. And as industry has declined in the city, it's created new space for new kinds of parks. Cleveland Metro Parks is establishing urban green space like Rivergate Park on the Columbus Peninsula and is working with partner organizations to connect neighborhoods and provide recreational opportunities along the towpath and the Lake Link trails. In 2012, the Conservation Fund donated the former Acacia Golf Course to us, with stipulations that it would become a natural habitat and remain a green space in perpetuity. Biohabitats Incorporated is working with our Natural Resource Division to restore the area into forest, wetlands, and meadows. And in 2013, Cleveland Metro Parks took over management of the lakefront areas, including Gordon Park and Edgewater Park, 2 of those original ring of city parks that inspired William Stinchcomb to call for an outer ring that became Cleveland Metro Parks. These latest additions bring his vision full circle. Thank you.
Jordan Hare is in his 2nd season of managing the Green Court in Buckeye Farm. He has a bachelor's degree in biology with a minor in education from Cleveland State University. Tonetta Barnes is a 3rd-year youth in the program. She recently graduated from John Hay High School and will be attending Baldwin Wallace this fall.
Hello everyone. Here we have a picture of one of our students at the farms. It is Green Corps program through the Holden Forest and Gardens. So here we build our beds, the produce has been transplanted, the beds have irrigation in them, and the plants are ready to grow. And so is one of our students, Saidi.
Green Corp focused on growing youth, growing Cleveland, and growing our community, but we also focused on educational experiences for our students, team working and leadership skills, mentoring opportunities, health and food concerns, and we also focused on empowerment, so we try to take what we teach and teach it to our community. These right here are the 5 farms that we have around Cleveland. On the east side of Cleveland, we have Midtown, Fairfax, Central, Buckeye, and Slavic Village Farm. They're all on the east side of Cleveland, again, all totaling about 3.1 acres of land. This right here is Midtown Learning Farm. It has been established in 1996. It is located on East 66 and Chester Avenue. The land is owned by the Dublin Tavern Museum, and it consists of 1.1 acres. And this summer season, we hired about 13 youths to work at this farm. Slavic Village Learning Farm is located on East 54th and Fleet Avenue. It has been established in 2008. The land is owned by Slavic Village Development, and over the 0.3 acres, we hired about 8 students each summer season. The Fairfax Learning Farm is the farm that I worked at for the past 3 seasons. It has been established in 2009 on East 79th and Amos. The land is owned by Fairfax Renaissance Development, and over the 0.5 acres of land, we have hired over 13 youths to work on this garden.
So Buckeye itself is my farm. It was established in 2010. It is located in East 114th and Woodland. The land is leased from the city of Cleveland. It's the second largest farm at 0.85 acres, and we also have 14 students this season. And again, this is my second year managing it itself. So where education and team building is concerned, we try to have a well-rounded idea of what we want our students to be exposed to. So we focus on culinary skills, we focus on art projects and crafts, we focus on health, and we have presenters come in, so our kids are subjected to a lot of different areas of what they need to be developing. We also developed a curriculum, which is based off of first-year lesson plans as well as returning students as well that come back. There are 5E lesson plans. We focus a lot on engagement, so we want the students to be involved a lot. We play games, we get their attention, we get them involved, and the knowledge sticks. And then we have the markets as well.
Where do our food go? Well, our food goes to our farmers markets that we have on Shaker Square, which is Saturdays. Tremont is Tuesdays, and Village Market. Each and every one of the 5 farms also have farm stands on a designated work day. We also provide food to CSA and restaurants. This right here represents some students and our manager from last year's farm season. This is one of our market days at our farm stand. As you can see, some of the onions that we harvest and all the food that we were getting ready to sell is right here in this picture.
So where community impact is concerned, yes, the students get involved with face-to-face interaction with our community selling produce, but we try to get them well-rounded. We want our students to be able to teach the community as well. So we're teaching the students, we want the students to be able to teach themselves. That's how they're going to effectively learn in the community itself. They're going to grow their own produce. They don't necessarily have to purchase ours, but it's a lot of fun. So we have, speaking of community, we went to FDR, the Boys and Girls Club, earlier this season before the students started, so the staff were able to construct 16 box beds. We taught them how to be sustainable themselves, how to construct them, how to be sustainable and just succeed where that's concerned. And pictured here we have one of our managers at Midtown. His name is Kyle. He was able to help build the box beds. As you can see, there's a child holding a drill. We don't like to limit the amount of information our students can learn from us. We want them to be exposed to different things in a safe manner, of course, but we try to get them a well-rounded idea of what we're trying to do. We also have had a partnership with the Cleveland Indians for the past 2 seasons. So Throughout the partnership itself, we are able to go on the field. We're being introduced August 6th, so we'll be on the field with the students. We get a behind-the-scenes tour, as well as we get to plant some box beds for them as well.
The beds that we have planted are located in the players lot, the parking lot, and right behind center field. As you can see, this is me and a coworker named King. We go down there every couple of weeks as we can, and we just work and make sure like the beds are maintained and don't have as many weeds so the plants can grow properly. Right here, we can see we have tomato, basil, and peppers. All of the stuff that we grow, we have professional chefs that go ahead and cook it for the players so they can enjoy a delicious meal that I would like to taste someday. Yeah, that's probably it. This right here, so we took a day out of our work day to go to the Hold'em Arboretum, and this right here is the canopy walk. So if you're afraid of heights, do not look down because it's very high from the ground. And yeah. High from the ground, very high.
So here, during this field trip, we went to the Emergent Tower. So here we have King and Isaiah, two of our students from Fairfax and Slavic Farm, respectively. We want our students to be able to interact with the students within their farm and get along with them, because they're spending a lot of time with each other and they have to get along, but we also want them to get along with one another from farm to farm as well. And then we also have another picture. It's the same as the first, but the farm has grown. The produce is thriving. They are trellised, and then Saidi has grown as well as the produce itself. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Kathy Len. I'm with the Office of Sustainability, and it is my great honor tonight to introduce Whitney Long-Jones. Whitney is the community coordinator for Let's Move Outside at the Cleveland YMCA. She is a Western Reserve Land Conservancy and Holden Forest and Gardens tree steward, and a board member for the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District. Her interests include volleyball, art, swimming, planting things, and working with youth. Whitney?
All right, I need everyone's help in the audience right now. So when I say let's move, you say outside. All right? Let's move. Outside. Let's move. Outside. When I say environmental, you say stewardship. Environmental. Stewardship. Environmental. Stewardship. Awesome. Thank you. I love the energy. So here's my question for you. Why did you participate in that? Is it because you're familiar with the activity, or is it because the person next to you was doing it? So I just want you to remember the word familiar, because you're going to hear that a couple times in my presentation. A little bit of background about Let's Move Outside. We are a fairly brand new initiative that started in 2015. 51 cities were selected around the United States, and it's a combination of Michelle Obama's Let's Move Outside and Department of Interior's 50 Cities Youth Initiative. So they came together to make Let's Move Outside, and we joined in June of 2015. Now, with the first 25 cities, the second set of cities, 26 cities, came onto the initiative in 2016. So for year one, Let's Move Outside acted as a community liaison where we connected youth-serving organizations to public land agencies and tried to send people to Cuyahoga Valley National Park, but we came up against a couple of barriers. So with those barriers, limited access to resources, lack of awareness, and if anyone knows about running an organization, specifically nonprofit, it's difficult to come up to gain some of these access some of these resources. So the first barrier we came up against was transportation. So either the urban organizations that we worked with didn't have their own transportation, didn't have the funding to get transportation, or didn't have access to a vehicle. The second barrier was lack of awareness. So no offense to anyone who works for these organizations, people are familiar with them, but they may not be aware of all of the resources and opportunities that organizations like Cleveland Metro Parks, Sewer Water District, Regional Sewer District, Alliance for the Great Lakes, and CVMP has to offer. And a lot of people that I worked with did not even know that we had a national park 10 miles from downtown. The third barrier is the lack of relatability. Mainstream marketing appeals to the demographic that you see here on the covers of the magazine or on the website. And the issue with that is you may not be able to understand how you fit in or if you can even do those things. So this scene right here may be nature to us, but to some people, or the urban youth I worked with, it's actually a scene out of a horror movie. So they're afraid to go to the park and to the woods. And with that, imagine yourself, so just read the words of this picture for a moment, and let me know how that affects you, not right this moment, but think about it. And if you were in this situation with going outside and pulling weeds, or if you're an environmentalist, removing invasive species, would that be a priority of yours when your children are hungry? So, for example, let's take a family the size of 6 people. If you're making less than $32,000, you're automatically, according to these guidelines here, classified as a family living in poverty. So you have a single mother trying to take care, or a single parent. We do have some single dads out there, so let me give them their props too. So you have a single parent taking care of 5 children, and if you're making the mean household income based on Cleveland statistics of less than $29,000, you fit into that poverty guideline. And 35 of the residents living in Cleveland are living in poverty, and that's if they're not the 14% that are unemployed. So how do we address these issues? Let's Move Outside for year 2 decided to be a little bit more hands-on and take the local approach as opposed to just sending people out to the national park. So you see the partnerships that we made helped us to implement the Rock Your Neighborhood environmental service learning curriculum. And they helped us to touch on all 4 of the Let's Move Outside pillars of playing, learning, serving, and working. And these partners were very instrumental to making this program a success. What we did was focus on quite a few activities that offered the youth at George Washington Carver Elementary School in Cleveland, 5th graders, an opportunity to learn a little bit about the environment in their own neighborhoods. So these activities included, the curriculum included activities such as community cleanups, tree IDs and tree mapping, water quality testing. And we shared with the students the importance of urban gardening so that they know how to grow their own food, recycling, and learning the history of their neighborhoods. We also talked about the importance of trees, planting trees. If you cut one down, because trees provide quite a bit of what we use on a regular day-to-day basis in our lives. So if you cut one tree down, you want to plant at least 2 more. So we took the students to Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and a total of 25 students planted about 60 trees, and they had an awesome time doing it. So they were learning and didn't even know that they were learning. We also took the students to the Cleveland Aquarium, where we learned about water education. We talked about lakes and rivers from around the world and did water quality testing of the Cuyahoga River. The students were pretty interested to see the outcome of that, even though the river's in better shape than it was years ago. So the students had a great time learning, and we wanted to make sure that they became more familiar with their own environment and their neighborhoods. We encouraged them to play. Some of these students had never seen straw, so we didn't tell them to get off of the bales, so we let them enjoy that. And I got a quick picture of the teacher who was absolutely ecstatic about this program with the 2 wildest children in the classroom. So what do we learn from this? The immediate outcome of it was there was a 48% increase of students being interested in wanting to engage more in outdoor activities. So if anyone is looking to partner with Let's Move Outside at the Cleveland YMCA, please contact us. We are constantly trying to familiarize our students with the importance of environmentalism. Thank you.
everyone. Thanks for coming out. My name's Kristen Hall. I'm director in the Mayor's Office of Sustainability, and I'm very excited to introduce Allison McKim from UH. Allison is a native of Cleveland's West Side. She is a graduate of Case Western Reserve University with an MA in cognitive linguistics. Her continuing research involves body-based cognition and nature-based education. Allison has studied natural building techniques and biodynamic and organic farming practices in the U.S. and overseas. She is currently living out her dreams as manager of Angie's Garden and director of the Horticultural Therapy Program at University Hospitals, Rainbow Babies and Children's, located in University Circle. Let's give her a round of applause.
Hi. I'm going to tell you a story about a little kid, and I'd like you to try to see yourself, put yourself in his body and see yourself through his eyes. Once upon a time, there was a little boy who loved to run and play freely in the sunshine all day long. But one day, he became very sick and had to go into the hospital. He was there for many weeks in a small room with beige walls and machines that went beep, 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 day and night. There was no fresh air, blue sky, green grass, or sunshine. As the days passed, he began to feel so sick and sad. His nurse noticed he was not smiling anymore, so one day she took him to a special elevator he had not seen before. It was very beautiful inside, with puffy clouds. And they traveled all the way up to the rooftop, and when the doors opened, this is what he saw. Rainbows on the walls and sun shining through a big window. He stepped off the elevator and walked past a pretty blue room with tables and chairs and a big sink, lots of different plants. And he saw a little girl in a wheelchair in there. She was painting with her mother. They were painting pictures on rocks. And then he went out and he saw the blue sky. He walked out the door and saw flowers and green grass. He felt the wind blowing and the warm sunshine on his skin. And he closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and felt his whole body relax. This is Angie's Garden. We're a place where families and kids undergoing treatment can come and leave the hospital behind and just feel normal, connect with nature, and connect with each other, and reconnect with themselves. We're located 9 floors up on the roof of Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. The garden encompasses 10,000 feet. It opened just over 2 years ago, and our main purpose is to provide a place for respite, rest, peace, and breathing space. The garden is named after Angie Fowler. She was just 14 when she died of cancer in 1983. She was full of energy and passion for life. She was a great lover of nature, and she had a dream of becoming an oceanographer. Since that time, her family has made it their mission to improve cancer care for adolescents and young adults, raising funds to create better environments that engage mind, body, and emotions of the patients, the kind of care they wish Angie would have had. Because human bodies are not just machines to be fixed. Close proximity to nature brings healing in a way that medicine cannot. Touching body, soul, and spirit. There's widespread scientific support for the value of close contact in nature for physical and emotional healing. Humans are made to be in natural spaces, beautiful spaces that touch all the senses and engage the imagination. But some kids in the hospital have restrictions that don't allow them to leave their rooms. In those cases, we bring nature-based therapy to them. Anything that allows kids to embody nature. For example, we might tell them stories and have them act out natural things, becoming animals and plants, or do crafts that allow them to touch natural things. Green walls and rooftops are growing in popularity, not just because they're beautiful, but because of their benefits to the environment. They cool buildings and help with rainwater runoff. I've been happy to see the growing interest in Cleveland in building designers and architects in green walls and rooftop gardens. This morning when I opened the garden, I saw 2 bright yellow goldfinches on the tallest sunflowers. And I've been so surprised every day to see the different creatures that have been finding their way up to the rooftop. We see butterflies up there, and bees, and even a praying mantis. We have lots of plants for pollinators, as well as an herb garden and passion fruit that's almost ripe. And this is a great place for regaining your perspective. You can see all the way to the horizon. You can see across Cleveland, the whole of University Circle and campus, and a great view of the helicopter landing pad, which is always exciting. The garden has many stories to tell, and I'll tell you just one. People use it for playing and for peace, and sometimes for saying goodbye. One family had a newborn baby that died, and they requested time up on the rooftop alone just to have a chance to say goodbye in a natural setting. And I'm really touched that the garden can be used in such a way. This is the Horticultural Therapy Suite. It's just like an art room where families can go and do nature-based activities. You can see the sensitive plant, and when you touch this plant, it closes up. And kids just love that plant. As caretaker of this space, I'm doing my best to make it more green. We've eliminated chemical fertilizers and pesticides from this space. We're sending our garden waste to be composted now rather than bagging it. And we've added a water filtration system instead of using bottled water. In the morning when I open the garden, everything is fresh washed with dew and the sun is shining, and I wish you could be there and see it. I go out often and I bring some music out to the garden, so I'm just going to play a little bit for you.
Wow. How's everybody feeling today, this evening? I'm Anand Natarajan, City of Cleveland, Energy Manager, Mayor's Office of Sustainability. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce the next PechaKucha. Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay. PechaKucha presenter, Chanel Smith. Chanel Smith is the Ohio State Director for the Trust for Public Land, where she oversees the organization's work to create and enhance parks, conserve open space, and benefit the environment through green infrastructure projects. She most recently served as the Deputy Director of the Cuyahoga County Department of Sustainability, advancing energy-efficient building, renewable energy, bike sharing, and sustainability across 59 municipalities. Oh my gosh, can't even think about that. So that was my 40 seconds. Now you're going to get 400 seconds from Chanel Smith.
At the Trust for Public Land, our mission is focused on creating parks and protecting land for people with the goal of ensuring healthy, livable communities in generations to come. And we're proud to say that we've been connecting communities to the outdoors and to each other since 1972. Imagine if you were never more than a 10-minute walk from a place to explore, to discover, to play. Right here in Cleveland, 20% of kids don't have a park within a 10-minute walk of their home. That's why we're leading a movement to put a park within a 10-minute walk of every home, in every neighborhood, in every American city. 10 minutes, that's long enough to tackle a couple of quick household chores, fold some laundry, and wash a few dishes. You could start a chapter of a book on your nightstand, or more likely sit in front of the TV or scroll through your phone. But could you walk to a park? Close to home, parks boost well-being for the entire neighborhood, from the child diagnosed with ADHD to the senior recovering from hip surgery. People who live near parks get more and better exercise and report better mental health than people who don't. Nearby green space makes it easier to socialize, recreate, and relax with a quick jog before work or a sunset stroll. Creating a park is cooperative. It's a community-driven approach to creating new and rejuvenated public spaces that reflect local identity through arts and culture. At the Trust for Public Land, we know that the greatest parks build community and the greatest communities build parks. Landmarks like the 606 in Chicago are as much as a triumph of collaboration as they are a feat of engineering. A park doubles as a hands-on learning space and a public health facility. For our schoolyards to playgrounds effort, we tap students to transform recessed areas and vibrant neighborhood parks that soak up stormwater, easing strain on city sewer systems. The cornerstone of our program is a 3-month curriculum. Collaborating with parents, teachers, and neighbors, we help students plan their dream playgrounds. Once renovated, the sites stay open to public on evenings and weekends, providing much-needed community green space when school is closed. Studies show that the more parks there are in a community, the more people exercise. People who live closer to parks exercise more, and people who regularly use parks get more exercise than people who don't. The takeaway is building new parks and improving existing parks is a great way to keep people healthy, especially in cities where green space is hard to come by. Our mission comes to life through plan, fund, protect, and create. To plan, we rely on a rigorous data analysis, mapping tools to identify and prioritize parks for people. One way to do this is our park score. The score is based on acreage, access, spending, and amenities. And this year, Cleveland ranked 45th. That means we aren't doing bad, but we can do better. Our Climate Smart Cities tool takes data to a whole nother level by addressing climate resiliency and leveraging our core skill of land protection to help community leaders inform decisions about land use. Our focus is on equity, and low-income areas are often the most vulnerable to climate-related events. Yes, I know that the screen that you'll see is an example of Boston, but we'll be launching this tool in Cleveland very soon. Our new GIS platform integrates social, economic, and environmental data to identify areas where new parks can provide green infrastructure solutions. The tool will guide the Trust for Public Lands continued work in Cleveland. We are known for our protect work. One example is Rivergate Park, where we acquired vacant industrial land that was scheduled to be a graveyard of luxury boats during the Great Recession. And now we've turned that land over to our partners at Cleveland Metro Parks to create an amazing natural asset. The big question for us became, how do you connect people and people to places, things like the towpath, Edgewater, Windy Park, and Whiskey Island? And the answer quickly became the Cleveland Foundation Centennial Trail. This brings us to a big portion of our work, which is fund. In 2016, we completed the $14 million fundraising campaign by raising nearly $4 million from private sources and securing 2 major public sources, including $8 million in a Tiger grant awarded to Cleveland Metro Parks. The Trust for Public Land co-authored that Tiger application with Cleveland Metro Parks, and importantly, our federal affairs team in Washington, D.C. lobbied for its success. This spring, the second phase of the Centennial Trail opened. A third phase, which starts in 2018, is the construction of a bridge to link the trail system to the lakefront parks. With the missing link completed, people will finally be able to experience a national park, the culture of a major city, and a lake in a single uninterrupted journey. In its entirety, the project connects 24,000 residents within a 10-minute bike ride to the waterfront, including more than 2,000 low-income individuals who live at Lakeview Terrace. From the days of our founding, we have focused on equitable delivery of our mission. For us, that means choosing to do our work in places where lack of access to the benefits of nature contributes to broader disparities. It also means that we engage people in the process of creating parks and protecting land. We seek out those who may face barriers to participation to ensure that our work serves the whole community. And as we've seen time and time again, this act of co-creation in itself is transformational, empowering communities to address inequities well beyond the boundaries of the park. Today, CPO is focused on creating equitable access to the trail to bring public housing residents like Aaron and Octavia in the next slide at Lakeview Terrace into the process of designing their future community park. Right now, these kids can see the lake, but they can't get to it. TPO is starting to make something happen with the families of Lakeview Terrace that they never dreamed was ever possible. Aren't they cute? So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chanel, and all you do for the community. That was a lot to absorb. And many of you, I think, are probably thirsty. So we're going to take about a 15-minute break. We'll get back around 7:05, and we have 5 more speakers, if you can believe it. So see you soon.
Every time I hear the alarm bell go off in school, I think it's an air raid.
A lot of houses in our neighborhood have been destroyed. I like to close my ears and sing songs whenever the bombs come close.
I'm worried our new neighbors won't like us.
But I know it's all gonna be worth it. I just want my family to be safe. But these are not my words.
These are not my words.
These are not my words.
Doesn't see race. Love is love.
All right, thank you all for coming back from the break. I am here to introduce Val Scott. Val Scott is an advocate and leader in the movement to bring nutrition and healthy living into people's lives. Through her workshops, lectures, and cooking demonstrations, she teaches that food can be the catalyst for better living. Val's passion and purpose is educating people in how to live their best lives by powering their bodies with healthy foods. Unfortunately, Val was not able to join us, but her granddaughter Kayla is here filling in, so let's give Kayla a quick round of applause.
Hi, everybody. This is my grandmother in her garden. We are a family-owned business. We used to own a nightclub. It closed in 1997, around the year I was born, actually. We are in the heart of University Circle, the Art Museum and Cleveland Clinic and everything like that. So we had a big parking lot, and she decided to turn into a garden, for the community around us. This is one of the 50 trees that was donated to us by UPS, and we use that for the family members that live around us to educate their kids, eating healthy and using fruits and stuff for after school snacks and all of that. So that's a very big part in our garden to educate kids. This is my grandmother and her herb garden. We are one of the few that have a spiral herb garden that is built out of bricks, and it just goes in a spiral, but we just plant different herbs and it's sectioned off by the bricks, which makes it easier for us to pick out which one is which. We actually had that donated to us by UPS as well. That gave us us the bricks to make that. This is my grandmother with her very colorful, kitchen and vegetables. We use a lot of our garden vegetables to educate in the classes that we do for Belle's Healthy You. When she does this, she does meal preps at home. She likes to make it a family environment. If she feels that family is more important than just, at a restaurant or, in the kitchen, which is not bad, but it's better to come from family and the soul. This is her in Detroit that we educate classes everywhere. She's in LA right now and she's actually on her way to Detroit. We had a family emergency, but she is, always empowering people and helping people and making sure that everybody is okay before herself. This is Val in the garden. We have Jim Baker, who is in the plaid checkered shirt. He actually lives next door to the Don Scott house that we own. It is named after my grandfather who passed away from heart failure. So that's one of the reasons why my grandmother is very big in healthy living, healthy cooking, and empowering other people to live a healthy lifestyle. We have, our nice harvest and colorful. She's very colorful. That's why it's called Belle's Purple Oasis, her favorite color. Our Don Scott house is actually you walk in and you're like, whoa, I take a second back because it's yellow and purple and red and pink, and it's just so many colors, but it's awesome. We have community people that come around. We have a mosque that's right across the street from the garden, and we have community people that come right here, and they're in our high tunnel. We are one of the very few gardens in Cleveland to have a high tunnel built, and again, UPS, which is a very, nice, proud partner of ours that helped us build that. We are here in one of our women's shelters that we volunteer at all the time, making sure that they know how to live healthy with what they have. It's very limited, so we make sure that we can accommodate what they need and what they have. We have, I believe her name is Marilyn. She's right there on the right of my grandmother. She's been helping my grandmother out for a long time. And right here we have the kids in the garden. We have kid internships. It's we bring kids from everywhere and make sure that they have the opportunity that we give our adults. We feel that it's safe, it's nice to have kids and adults having the same opportunity. They don't have any, help to grow up with how they should grow up. We have, from the women's shelter again, making food and giving it out to all the women in the shelter. We like to empower the community more than just stay at home and do events. We feel that if we spread it out and take it to the schools and women's shelters and all of that, certain things, that it's better than just being, secluded to one certain thing. Again, this is our high tunnel that was built in 2014. It took about 4 days. It started to rain on us, so we kind of were like, well, we gotta wait on this, But it actually was really cool to see how, I was 14 at the time. It's pretty cool to see how it was built and, how it was made and how you can do so much in here. Right here we have our purple stage, of course, color, and we make sure that we have classes in there sometimes. We have kids come to the garden. If it starts to rain, we'll go in the high tunnel and we'll educate in the high tunnel instead of standing outside. Again, the high tunnel. We also like to make sure that the people in the community help us more than just, UPS and FedEx. These are two men who actually live 2 houses down from the Don Scout house, which is the next street over from the garden. They come about every day just to check out on the garden and look and see how everything is doing, which is pretty awesome and very helpful. Again, this is one of our pear trees that was donated out of the 50 pear trees. We like to make sure that we have different vegetables and we have, very nice, fresh food that we can take away. The kids come a lot every once a week to take the fruit off the trees and just come down the street, hey, can we have one of these? And they'll go home and you'll see them just eating it, and all of a sudden 10 minutes later they'll come back and take some more. So that's the goal, to make sure that they know exactly what you can use and make sure that you have it available to them. It's cool to see all the kids that don't even know what health is. So we make sure that we use our family-owned garden to educate kids more than anything. We make sure that we give back and we give to the women's shelter more than a lot, because that's where it is. There's not a lot of men's shelters, there's women's shelters. So we like to make sure that we give to the women of the community because they educate us. We're all here from women. So it's make sure that we educate our kids and that they actually know how to tell us and what to do. for my mom. If I didn't have my mom, she wouldn't, I wouldn't be here. So if she didn't tell me the health and how to grow and all that stuff like that, that would be it. So I am very happy that we actually have the opportunity to go to women's shelters every day. This is our class that we held Monday for the last 7 weeks, I believe, in Slavic Village. We last one we had was a salmon-based stir fry. That was very awesome for us to, the community eat different things. Nobody thinks to bake salmon and make it into a stir fry. We have next to us, a lot of honey things. So it was very nice to have that, opportunity to go into Slavic Village. But thank you guys so much.
So it is a pleasure to introduce our next speaker, a true leader in this community and a really great partner for Sustainable Cleveland, Kyle Dreyfus-Wells. Kyle was appointed as CEO of the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District in February. Kyle has a history of coordinating watershed management efforts, including the Sewer District's Regional Stormwater Management Program and the application of stormwater control measures to reduce combined sewer overflows under the Sewer District's Green Infrastructure Policy. Kyle, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hold on one second there, Emily. I'm the daughter of a rock musician, so I just had to get the mic right. Go ahead. Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Dreyfus-Wells. As Matt said, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District, and I'm here to talk to you tonight about what vibrant green space means to us at the Sewer District. And essentially, it means reconnecting the natural functions of our open spaces. Because the key concept to get for us at the district is that what happens on the land creates our water quality. So we are a political subdivision of the state of Ohio. We have 62 member communities, including the city of Cleveland and 61 other municipalities. We were created in 1972 by court order. We provide regional stormwater and sanitary sewer service to those 62 member communities across a 355 square mile service area. If you're a customer of the district, give me a big hand. Right? If you pay a bill, you're a customer. That's the way it works. We own and operate the region's 3 large wastewater treatment plants, and as you can see, we have a lot of assets. In our community, though, we have problems with water quality, and they relate to the way we have messed up streams and wetlands and poorly managed stormwater across our region. This is Big Creek right by the zoo, which has a history of being very poorly treated by development. The picture to the left is the Mill Creek Falls, which is the highest waterfall in Cuyahoga County, and that's actually combined sewer overflow that you're seeing in that shot there. That has now been totally taken care of, so you can go visit the Mill Creek Falls and you'd be okay. But that is a legacy problem. So at the district, we have 2 big wet weather programs to deal with these issues. Project Clean Lake is our program to deal with combined sewer overflow, and our regional stormwater management program is the program to deal with that legacy of impervious surface, driveways, rooftops, and parking lots that have been poorly managed in terms of their runoff. So for us, all of our green work comes under our green infrastructure policy, which essentially knits together all of our work related to open space, stream restoration, and green infrastructure. I'm going to give you some examples tonight of 3 of those areas under our green infrastructure policy, and you can find out all you want about green infrastructure on our website or by, talking to me. I love to talk, and I really like to listen, which is, an excellent skill that I found. So under our capital improvement program, we are spending big money on green infrastructure, and this is an example of that. This is our urban ag project at 81st and Kinsman in partnership with Burton Bell Carr and Riddall Green Partners. We are managing 7 million gallons a year of stormwater in 4 big bioretention areas, and you can see those off of Kinsman as you go into the urban ag area. Moving east, this is our Fairhill MLK Green Infrastructure Project, which is located at the intersection of Fair Hill and MLK. Very well named, I think, for a green infrastructure project. This is managing 14 million gallons of stormwater from a 65-acre service area. Bioretention cells cascading through the upper part of Ambler Park and restoring base flow function to Doan Brook, one of our great Lake Erie direct tributaries. This is a partnership with Doan Brook Partners, RTA, and the Buckeye Shaker Square Development Corp. Coming in 2019 along Buckeye Road, as you go from MLK down to Woodhill, you'll see our Buckeye Cascades project coming, which will be a series of green infrastructure cascading ponds along Buckeye with some great public art incorporated through our partnership with Land Studio, continuing that public art from Buckeye. Now, that's all urban green infrastructure, open space restoration, but it all starts in the headwaters. So we are working with conservation organizations to protect wetlands, streams, and floodplains through a well-named program that EPA came up with, the Water Resources Restoration Sponsorship Program. It's a really bad name, but it's a really great program. So we've done 5,300 acres of land protection, 37 miles of streams preserved across the Lake Erie watershed. This is 272 acre snow lake wetlands, a project that we did in partnership with the Nature Conservancy in Burton and Troy Townships in Geauga County. This is a kettle wetland. So when the glaciers left, they left these big holes in the ground, and these are some of the few natural lakes that we have in our area. West Creek Conservancy is another one of our great partners. This is the West Creek Confluence Project. 8 acres of floodplain wetlands restored in this partnership project and over 1,100 linear feet of stream where West Creek meets the Cuyahoga River, thus the name, the Confluence Project. There's nothing that we don't do at the district that's not obvious. I just want to point that out. So the last program I want to mention to you is our Regional Stormwater Management Program, which is focused on dealing with that legacy of flooding and erosion in our area. This is a graphic of a project that we're doing in Rockefeller Park, behind the Art Museum, where the Art Museum had their maintenance building for so many years. This is a great partnership between us and the Art Museum, Case Western and others to restore about 1,000 linear feet of Doan Brook, reconnect that urban stream to its floodplain, and allow it to do its thing. This is the Cuyahoga River at the towpath in Valley View, and you can see this project under construction as we pull back those eroded floodplains so that they can interact with that area, flood where you're supposed to flood. That's a great way to say, just flood where you're supposed to flood, and protect that function. So that's green infrastructure, open space at the sewer district. I really appreciate being here tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. And there's a bunch of sewer districtors over there, so you can ask them any questions as well. Thanks, everybody.
I have the pleasure to introduce Maggie Fitzpatrick. Maggie is the Director of Agricultural Empowerment and Programming for Refugee Response in Cleveland. She earned her BS in biology at John Carroll University with an environmental studies concentration and an MS in community-based food systems from Michigan State University in 2010. Maggie completed postgraduate internships on farms in Ohio and Vermont, and she has worked on farms in Ireland, and she's here to talk about a farm in my backyard. Welcome, Maggie.
Hello. I'm laughing because apparently I can't go anywhere without a clipboard, but I guess that's just something I'll have to deal with. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. The vibrant green space that I'll be talking about today is the Ohio City Farm. This is where I work with refugee farmers from many different countries, including Burma, Bhutan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Afghanistan. In the past, Somalia and Burundi as well. The Ohio City Farm is a physical space, but it's also a space with great social meaning. This meaning is generated by the farmers that work there, who interact with the land, who sustain themselves and their families through its cultivation. This is the first family, actually, that the organization worked with. Thomas works for us now. Many of us at some point in our lives have felt like one of these dandelion seeds, blowing in the wind, not sure where we're going to land. But the thing about that is when we do land, the environment is typically nurturing enough to support us. We know the culture, we know the language. But this is not the case for refugee families. Often when the families arrive, they land in environments that are extremely difficult to settle into. Sometimes burdened with trauma, the families have to learn a new language, a new culture, and new work skills. Land. Land is a word I'm going to use very often tonight. As a farmer, land is the soil that you can cultivate, and as I've used it a lot of times already, land can also mean a verb that is to arrive in a particular place. The Ohio City Farm is the land in which the refugee farmers land. This is Lado. So Lado works and actually manages the Ohio City Farm every day. He landed here in the U.S. in 2010. He was quoted in a piece saying, quote, "It's scary in the beginning because life in the U.S. is totally different from Myanmar." To make this landing a little less scary, we want to provide a more nurturing environment. To do so, we provide employment in an industry that people have experience in. Many adult refugees arriving to the U.S. have a background in agriculture. The first job, this early employment, is a way for these families to put down roots immediately when they arrive. By being able to continue farming and even grow some of the vegetable varieties specific to their home country, it allows people to express their own unique culture while learning our culture in the U.S. On this land, the heads of these families, typically the main earner, also get immediate integration into the community. By growing food for Cleveland residents, the heads of households have relationships with volunteers, customers, and businesses in Cleveland. Our farmers feel like they're part of the community because they're contributing to the community in a real and tangible way. This is my first shameless plug. This is our farm stand. It's open on Saturdays from 9 to 3. You can come visit us. We always have one of the refugee farmers working here, so it's a great way to meet one of the people that cultivate the Ohio City Farm. And while we spend most of our time with our feet firmly planted on the ground at the Ohio City Farm, these individuals that work at the farm also go into the classroom for 12 hours each week to learn English as a second language. This is also paid time, so people are paid for 40 hours a week. And to even better this landing in Cleveland, in addition to the culturally appropriate work and education, we provide each person with a mentor to work with the individual for 2 hours each week in the home. This helps with a continued acclimation to U.S. culture and language learning, and it gives everyone a touchstone in their community. So it's our goal to take this vibrant green space at the Ohio City Farm and offer a soft landing to families and ultimately take these families from surviving to thriving. With one season at the farm, we aim to prepare people to step into the workforce. Workforce development programs, join this crew, that workforce development programs that US-born citizens participate in. So it's with partnerships with resettlement agencies and workforce development programs like El Barrio. This is the final preparation for the ultimate goal of placing people in quality, sustainable employment. And this employment and empowerment of the heads of households is the bedrock that a thriving family can be built on. This is Hesse. He's from Burma. He worked with us 1 year in our program, and now he's hired on as a full-time farmer at the Ohio City Farm. And he was there with his daughter. We also hope to improve the landing of school-aged students of the refugee families. We do so by connecting them also with mentors and enrichment activities. This was a game night that we held. But it really all comes back to this vibrant green space. Our farm business that runs on this land accounts for 25 to 30% of our overall budget for the organization. And in the unpredictable world of nonprofit funding, it's really important to have that self-generated revenue. We also use this land as a place to share with the broader community. We share the farmers' work, we share the farmers' stories, their challenges and their successes, and we celebrate. Second, shameless plug, we have an event. Our annual event is going to be held on August 26th. Tickets are on sale on our website. And in the end, we hope that this vibrant green space will provide a soft landing for families, a nurturing environment for them to grow, and eventually an opportunity to thrive here in Cleveland. So if anyone has any questions or would like to get in touch and see how they can support our work, please visit our website or get in touch with me. I'll be here. I'll be here throughout the night, throughout the networking. So thank you.
All right, good. I'm not the shortest person to come up to the podium tonight. So hello, sustainability buffs. My name is Erica Meshcott. I am manager of sustainability for the Mayor's Office of Sustainability of Cleveland. I'm so happy to introduce Lisa Franklin of Evergreen Cooperatives to you tonight. Lisa recently joined the Evergreen team as Director of Development. She brings a wealth of passion for Cleveland and the nonprofit industry. She has extensive experience in grant management at both the federal and non-federal levels, and she focuses on growing funding and building awareness for all 3 Evergreen cooperatives, including Green City Growers, which she will highlight today. So welcome, Lisa, and happy to hear your story.
Green City Growers is the largest food production greenhouse in a core urban area in the U.S., and it's located right here in Cleveland, tucked in between Kinsman and 55th. It sits on 11.5 acres of land that was originally home to 40 properties, 37 of which were abandoned and becoming dangerous. We collect over 2 million gallons of water and snow a year to grow our crops. This is our rendition of a rain barrel, making it a little larger than the ones found in your backyard. The entire construction process of the greenhouse kept the focus on being a green, sustainable company and has been extremely beneficial and saved a ton on our water bill. This is one of our freshly germinated lettuce varieties. Our primary crops we rotate are Butterhead, Cleveland Crisp, Red Leaf, and our lettuce bouquets. We also grow basil, watercress, and microgreen. We started local but have recently expanded to Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Detroit. Once our seedlings germinate, they are placed in what we refer to as the pond. Green City Growers is part of a group of cooperatives, with the parent company being Evergreen. We strive to unite a sustainable green infrastructure with a for-profit business model and a powerful social mission. Our members aren't just employees, they're also owners. Half of the board of directors is made up of worker owners. They own stock in the company and believe in our mission of building wealth in our communities. In this picture, you see one of our worker owners giving a mineral bath to a crop, preparing for its next phase of growth. 83% of our co-op members are residents of Cleveland and come from a variety of backgrounds, from reentry adults to refugees to people that have just been stuck in entry-level positions. All of us focused on the mission of building wealth for residents of Cleveland and providing the freshest produce year-round. Our crops sit in 1 million gallons of purified and nitrified water, most of which is captured off the roof. Can you imagine our water bill if we didn't collect rain and snow? Thinking green during the construction phase hasn't just reduced our carbon footprint, but it has reduced our operating expenses. 1 head of lettuce grown in the field requires about 40 gallons of water. 1 head of our lettuce uses about 1 gallon from seed to harvest. Capturing 80% of our water allows us to work with our environment to accomplish our goals and unites business with green infrastructure. Our next target is renewable energy. When the sun is shining through our greenhouse, no lights are needed. We're in Cleveland, so relying solely on the sun is problematic. With the help of an investment from the Candida Foundation, we are retrofitting our greenhouses with LED lighting this year. Thinking Green continues to impact our bottom line immediately. Our local chefs love the fact that we are local because it enables them to provide high-quality dishes and feel good about the fact that they are helping the community. This bouquet is a result of suggestions from our co-op members. Making our employees part owners has continued to produce loyal, creative, and engaged employees. What was once rows of abandoned homes causing a safety concern for our community is now rows of our buttercrest lettuce resembling a blooming flower. Forging new paths and altering circumstances is a daunting task, but it is necessary if we want Cleveland to be the city of the future. We recently acquired Nestle as a customer whose professional chefs and processing facility is just a few miles from our greenhouse. That's where they make their delicious pesto using our fresh basil. This enables both companies to work together towards our combined commitment to Cleveland. A seed company in Holland asked us to trial a new seed that they specifically developed for hydroponic farming. The arrangement worked so well that we were actually able to name it, and we named it Cleveland Crisp, as you see here. It's perfect for warm sandwiches because it doesn't get wilty and soggy and gross when you expose it to heat. There is some heavy-duty machinery that keeps our operation afloat, which requires constant maintenance and upkeep. This opened up some unexpected positions. Co-op members that have a knack for machinery found themselves with a new opportunity maintaining our equipment. What can start off as an entry-level position can transform into something bigger. The opportunities didn't end with repairs, but carried over to management positions, quality control, and streamlining processes. We believe in our co-op members and try to utilize their hidden skills in all aspects of our co-ops. Here we have a harvest that will be packaged for one of our customers, which includes distributors, grocery stores, and local restaurants, all being packaged differently depending on the needs of our clients. Our produce typically takes about 48 days from seed to harvest. To help us combat bad bugs like aphids, we release good bugs like ladybugs, about 9,000 a week, so we can keep our leafy greens free of pesticides and herbicides and our co-op members safe from harmful chemicals. This machinery is tying one of our bouquets to delivery for one of our grocery store clients. Quality is our hallmark when growing our produce and herbs. We excel beyond the standards of food control, which is what attracted a large company like Nestle to do business with us. Growing indoors gives us control of our environment and allows us to provide high-quality produce right in the city limits. Ernest here said in a recent interview that we don't just grow food, we grow people. There are individuals that have always been in entry-level positions that have worked their way up to management level in the company that they own stock in. What a powerful display of combining business with community development. Green City Grows is one of 3 of the Evergreen Cooperatives. Our mission is to transform lives and neighborhoods by building economic breakthroughs in Cleveland. We offer our employee owners opportunities for personal, financial, and career success. We create meaningful jobs and keep financial resources within our great city of Cleveland. Thank you for the opportunity to share our story.
Hello again. It is my pleasure to introduce Jacqueline Bond. Jackie is a journalist and fine art photographer based in Cleveland. She is a graduate of the E.W. Scripps School of Journalism at Ohio University and has freelanced for various publications covering topics including arts and culture, music, small business development, and city planning. As a communications professional with a strong appreciation for the arts, she is currently the marketing and communications coordinator at the Morgan Conservatory, a 10-year-old nonprofit located in Cleveland's Midtown neighborhood dedicated to every facet of papermaking, book arts, and letterpress printing, and to cultivating the talents of established and emerging artists. Jackie?
This is a photograph from when I was 4 years old in my mother's garden surrounded by her black-eyed Susans. Aside from having a similar haircut to the one I have now, this photograph is relevant to who I've become as an adult. Nothing fills me with simple joy as much as seeing my houseplants sprout with new growth. It's simple science, but it's something I find incredibly hopeful. This is the Sam Carabulad Garden at the Morgan Conservatory. This vibrant green space is attached to the 1,500 square foot arts facility dedicated to papermaking, book arts, and letterpress printing. In the corner of this photograph, the black-eyed Susan makes its appearance again. This native wildflower species is not only a good nectar source for pollinators, it's one of many natural dyes growing in the urban garden. Someone once said, to plant is to dream. As you can see in this photograph I recently took, our garden exists in an extremely unexpected location. It's a green oasis tucked into the industrial brick scenery of the Midtown neighborhood. In the spring, we expanded our garden into a second lot, doubling its size in celebration of our 10-year anniversary as a nonprofit organization. Within the green space is a dye garden used for workshops, education, and small-scale experimental dyeing. Plants we harvest include indigo, madder, coreopsis, dahlia, and marigold, and milkweed, another fiber used to create paper. The kozo leaf is the most crucial element of the Morgan's garden. The art of papermaking has a long and interesting history that could be traced to ancient China and the bark of the kozo tree over 2,000 years ago. The kozo, also called the paper mulberry tree, is the same type of tree grown, harvested, and transformed into paper each year at the Morgan. We're proud to have the largest kozo grove in the United States. Tom Balbo is the founder and artistic director of the Morgan. He believes that there's a connectedness to the material that comes from planting a tree from a small root cutting, watching it grow, and understanding the patience and time it takes to create a sheet of paper. The Morgan is one of the few facilities in the country dedicated to keeping this intricate and laborious practice of Eastern papermaking alive. There are no bounds to creativity in papermaking, printmaking, and book arts. This summer, we're hosting over 30 workshops open to all skill levels from beginner to professionals. We've offered workshops in papermaking with indigenous plants, eco-dyeing, Japanese marbling, hardcover bookbinding, and even miniature bookbinding. This next image is from a recent workshop co-taught by artists June Tyler and Tony Carlone. Both are inspired heavily by nature. In this 3-day workshop, students created translucent sculptural pieces made with handmade paper using willow branches and cloth. When illuminated from within, light exposes the unique textures and colors of the handmade paper. This is a piece created by resident artist Nicole Donnelly, one of 6 artists in residence this summer. She used the facilities at the Morgan to complete a series of handmade paper and print artworks based on her experiences in the Mojave Desert. Ecology and environmental issues are central to her art-making process. She sustainably produces many of her own raw materials to create imagery that reflects the often negated responsibility to conserve the natural world. This paper's vibrant blue, and that's because it's recycled denim, pulverized for many hours into a pulp and transformed into paper. Carol Lynch's residency was her first time visiting Cleveland from New York. Whether it's tacky, tasteful, utilitarian, or fashionable, she was interested in exploring the association denim has as a working-class American material. This is Hong Hong. She's an artist who works on a large scale, and during her residency, she conducted a series of material relief and sculptural studies in paper. She utilized the Morgan's garden lot to begin a series of large-scale poured paper works like this one. It was there in the Great Plains that she encountered land for the first time. She can recall an open field not far from where she lived at the time. It had snowed quite heavily one evening, and the horizon was barely perceptible. The fallen snow was just a few shades more opaque than the silver skies. She recalls that particular moment whenever she considers scale. I think I have always been searching for, in my own work, the sensation of being something very small, held in something much larger, she says. During a recent exhibition opening, she gave an artist talk introducing her concepts and inspirations and unveiling her newest works to the visitors in our galleries. She also recently shared her paper pouring techniques to our interns, who created a collaborative work with her guidance. This spring, we also hosted our first national and 5th juried show featuring work from 18 states while maintaining a strong emphasis on locality. We received 250 submissions from 110 artists, only 50 of which were chosen to be exhibited. The judges especially liked pieces that exhibited the diversity of this art form. Sustainability is truly at the root of what the Morgan represents. This concept exists in our small actions, such as composting day to day and using our leftover water from paper making to water our garden. By growing our kozo at the Morgan, we avoid the sizable expense of importing fibers from Asia, creating a self-sustaining cycle of paper making. The annual Kozo Harvest each November is a community-wide event that serves as a hands-on introduction to papermaking and the Morgan itself. The garden was first planted in 2007 using root cuttings from the Iowa Center for the Book. Iowa's cuttings were derived directly from Japan. In 2010, after 3 initial years of growth, the Morgan was ready for its first harvest. After the kozo is grown, it is cut, steamed, scraped, cooked, rinsed, beaten into a pulp, and then formed into sheets of paper. This summer, we had 13 interns who learned this process, as well as many lessons in book arts, printmaking, Western papermaking, and touring other local arts resources. A few weeks ago, we also hosted our farm-to-table dinner benefit in our garden to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. This rustic event featured local restaurants, local themed garden cocktails, local brews, and local music, all for the sake of fundraising for our garden. Looking into the future, this is an architectural rendering of the Morgan's Garden Pavilion, built to support workshops, community events, and the kozo harvest. And to end my presentation, and to end the night, really, I would like to reminisce on something that founder and artistic director Tom Balbo said to me in a conversation. I think our garden can teach a connectedness to the natural world, and everybody has a connection in terms of touch. Your fingers have the most sensitivity of your body. It's a metaphor, but it's also a reality. There's a connectedness between the natural world and the world of art making. It's not the most elegant garden, but it has meaning to people that you could be in the middle of Midtown, growing and harvesting something and creating something beautiful from it. Thank you.
All right, well, that is it, our 10th speaker. One more round of applause for all of our amazing speakers tonight. I mean, I think that only really, ooh, look at the ship behind us, by the way. Not to divert you from my amazing talking points, but that's pretty cool. So really, I think that only scratches the surface, obviously, on what's going on with vibrant green space in this community. I mean, we could tell 100 times this amount of stories. So just thank you all for the work you do. I think it's really inspiring for me coming to these and just hearing all these great stories to keep the momentum going. I also want to give a quick shout out to Nancy in our Office of Communications. She's been Facebook Living this whole time in the City of Cleveland site. We've had about 1,000 people also join in via that route. TV20 in the back, yep. TV20, they're also recording this. This will also be on TV20, so people can view it later on. So continuing the momentum, our next big event is the Sustainable Cleveland Summit, our 9th annual, which is a little hard to believe. I guess, you know, when Mayor Jackson started this in 2009, I don't think we actually thought we'd get to 2019, but it is very close. We've left some postcards around there. If you want some extras to take back to your organization, your neighborhood, to help get the word out, please let us know, and our staff will help you get those. So this summit, there's a few things going on. We definitely are going to have a lot on vibrant green space. Our keynote is Mark Tursick. He's the CEO and president of the Nature Conservancy, one of the largest environmental organizations in the world. He's actually from Cleveland, so it's easier to kind of rope him back. So that's going to be really amazing. We are updating our climate action plan as a city. It first got created in 2013, and I think as many of us know, local climate action has become more important than ever, especially what's going on nationally. So this is a big moment for us to update that plan, make sure it really resonates with the community and reflects neighborhood priorities. So we want everyone at the summit to really feed into that plan update. And finally, back to that whole 2019 thing, it's very close, less than 2 years away, the actual 50th anniversary of the last time the river burned, June 22nd, 2019. We've always known this is going to be a big story to tell, right? And a lot of local, regional action around this. But I think there's even potential for this to be a big national event. I mean, the biggest national event that year, environment in the country. So we really want to think how the summit can be used to get the ideas flowing and to think about how we collectively can make it that big. So we're pretty pumped about it. It's going to be a good summit. Thank you again. Last call at the bar, most importantly, is 8:30. The roof deck is actually open. I think it's through that way. It's an amazing view out there. And thanks again, and keep engaged with Sustainable Cleveland. Have a good night.